Michigan State, Duke. Michigan State looked very underwhelming in the first half, 20 points at halftime. You were distraught. I mean, we sat right next to each other and recorded a quick video, but like there was no offensive identity whatsoever. They were switching a lot defensively, and it did cause Duke's backcourt some problems, which I thought was intriguing. And look, Tyson Walker did everything he could to make this a game. Absolutely everything he could. Ultimately, Kyle Filipowski and honestly, Duke as a whole, with Caleb Foster and with all of the versatile weapons that they have, proved too much for the Spartans and Tyson Walker specifically tonight. Sweeney, I'll throw to you first. We'll make Carter sweat it out a little more. What was your impression? Is this as bad as it seems for Michigan State?
I don't think it's as bad as it seems because it's a shooting slump, right? Like Michigan State will not shoot 20% from three for the season. I think Izzo joked in the post game that like they shot 6% in game one and 12% in game two, and they're like 30%. So their pace is pretty good. I mean, that's obviously not going to continue. And Izzo is probably more optimistic than I would have been, but I don't think it's all bad for Michigan State right now. I will say this, and I thought this for both teams, but especially for Michigan State, right? Like there's been a lot made, like go Champions Classics week 2 now. Teams have a couple games under their belts. And why is that? Well, coaches don't really like playing Champions Classic on opening night. They want to have a couple games to get their feet under them. And I thought the two teams tonight that had legit returning production, being Michigan State and Duke, both teams bring back 4 starters, and then a 5th rotation player, Ryan Young in Duke's case, and Malik Hall in Michigan State's case. Both those teams look like really sloppy and really like still figuring shit out, right? Like Michigan State is still really looking, I think, for an identity. Part of that's a confidence thing, shooting the basketball, but for a team that is quote unquote run it back team, it doesn't feel like they know who they are yet. And I thought Duke was still figuring out what they are. I think the Proctor thing is still developing. It's going to be different guys on different nights with McCain and Foster. Both guys have had good moments and bad early in the season. So I guess I was surprised by how much it feels like both teams still need to grow. I thought Duke was the better team today. I think Duke is the deeper, more talented team. And I think that will be the case whenever Michigan State plays elite opponents, unless some of these freshmen get force-fed minutes more than they've gotten so far.
Well, I guess that kind of swings it to me on this one. I told myself I would not come to doom and gloom to this kind of portion of this segment, but typically when I watch Michigan State teams early in the season, you notice issues with any team. This is any team you look at. You notice issues with teams, whether it be shooting, whether it be cohesiveness, whether it be, I don't know, just certain players not stepping up, right? Coming into the season, the storyline was backcourt. Like, yes, there's question marks at the 5. Yes, maybe there's even question marks if Malik Hall is going to be that great at the 3. That wasn't like, I'm sorry, at the 4. That wasn't like throughout the whole fan base, but there were some that were questioning that. I don't think anyone could have foreseen AJ Hoggard playing as bad as he has played through these 3 games. I believe currently, if I saw the stat correctly, he's shooting 5 for 26 from the field. He is, I think that rounds out to about 23 to 22%. And I'm not saying that AJ has to be amazing. You know, there was a lot made over the summer that AJ was taking notes that everyone is calling him not one of the better point guards in the country. You can't do that and then come out and just basically honestly lay an egg. Like even AJ himself has said that he has played bad. There was a quote by one of the Michigan State beat writers who talked to Izzo saying that AJ came in the locker room and said, if I keep playing like this, you need to bench me. Don't think that happened. 2,
it didn't happen.
2,
it didn't happen.
2, yeah, you can't have, and I don't want to ramble on about this, but I'll end it with this. The last thing I'll say is, yes, AJ isn't playing well, but that's not even really the worst of what he's playing. Like it's the fact that he has the mental lapses as a senior. He has effort issues as a senior. That's just not something you can have. And unfortunately for him, in regards to Michigan State point guards, there is always this Izzo and the point guards being hand to hand, arms in arms, like the leader on the floor. And up until this point in his career, AJ has not been able to sustain that. And I think it's kind of seeping into the rest of the team. Now, there's issues we can talk about, like Sweeney said, shooting, all that going on. But at the root of it, you have veteran players that are still making mistakes that veterans shouldn't make. And you're also not seeing the younger guys given the opportunity. You're given the same leash as the older guys on this team. We had Xavier Booker as a DMP in the second half. Our McDonald's All-American played 5 minutes in this basketball game. And I just don't see that being sustainable when the Michigan State front court is playing the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me to square with Xavier because I think Xavier has shown flashes in very limited minutes of higher upside than we've seen from Mady Sissoko or from Carson Cooper. But also, like,
we'll be on ranked next week, right?
Around there. I would say like 20s,
right.
20s are up.
So I spent the summer getting excited about what my team could be. I did look at Airbnbs in Phoenix.
Okay. All right.
I did.
Right.
I did. I took a peek.
That's on you.
That's on me?
That's on you.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little early for that.
I took a peek, and in a week and a half, I've gone from 4 in the country
to
unranked.
Did you not know who AJ Hoggard and Malik Hall are? And Mady Sissoko? Did you not know?
I don't know.
Sure?
I sipped the WAP Kool-Aid.
Sip the WAP Kool-Aid. Okay.
I did.
So here's a couple things from me on Michigan State quickly. Why I think this isn't necessarily like super fixable. Offensively, Tyson Walker and Jay Nakins are the only guys that can shoot on this team. They combined for 9 3-point attempts in this game. They shot 4 for 9 from 3, those two. Tyson was 3 for 5, and they were all tough. I mean, it was like one-on-one clear out off the dribble threes, and he was making them because he's a superstar, right? 4 for 9, those two guys that can shoot. Nobody else on the team can shoot. The rest of the team shot 2 for 10 from 3. And if you look at their previous games, the other guys shot more attempts than this. This was actually the first game where the attempts went to the guys that you needed them to. And it still is just an ugly split because no one on this team can shoot. And the attempts that Tyson Walker and Jay Nakins are getting are tougher than it's ever been in their careers because just the defenses don't respect Cohen Carr or Malik Hall or Mady Sissoko or Carson Cooper or even AJ Hoggard right now. And I don't know what you do with that. Outside of that, just in general, man, the whole sell on Michigan State taking a leap forward from being the team that lost all these games, it was middle of the pack in the Big Ten for 3 straight years. The leap forward was that this freshman class was special. And Cohen Carr, Xavier Booker, and Jeremy Fears tonight combined for 24 minutes. There is no leap if that's the small impact that those 3 guys are going to have. And I think in that limited time, we've seen signs. Cohen Carr also had mistakes tonight. Cohen Carr blew a box out in the first half that probably limited him from getting closer to 20 minutes in this game. Xavier Booker didn't get a chance in the second half. Jeremy Fears was in foul trouble in the first half. I don't know what you do if you're those guys to earn Izzo's trust, but when Malik Hall and AJ Hoggard and I mean, any center, it doesn't matter if it's Cooper or Sissoko right now, they're all making mistakes. And it doesn't feel like those guys are necessarily held as accountable as the freshmen are. I don't see the ceiling. I just straight up don't see the ceiling from where this team has been the last 3 seasons. So
at some point, you just have to play these guys through it, right?
Yeah.
Like I understand that Xavier Booker's skinny, but like I just don't know how you watch what Mady Sissoko did today and say that's like this is what we've got and we're gonna roll with it, right? Like it can't be there, right? Trey Holloman can't be getting more minutes than Jeremy Fears. Like I just don't think we can be there. I know he brings it defensively. I know he competes. If this team is an elite college basketball team, you can't have zeros offensively on the floor. Yeah, right? And they have too many of them right now.
Yeah, and those guys are gonna take lumps throughout the season as freshmen, but like you might as well, in order to do that, you got to throw them out there. And for the folks at home wondering how this episode is going to come back to Doug McDaniel, this is how is that going to come back. Unfortunately, last year, Jalen Llewellyn tore his ACL. That forced Doug McDaniel into the fire, and he was forced to start for Michigan's basketball team. And I truly think because he had a full season last year and he was in the fire, that is making him a better player this season. And he might have made that jump no matter what, but I'm saying that him having that full last season definitely helped him make the jump he's going to make this season. I don't know if Izzo has the I mean, I don't know what the word to be used is. I don't know if he could actually bench AJ Hoggard, but you cannot have both AJ and Trey Holloman just eating up all the guard minutes on this team. I think that you have to let Jeremy Fears play major minutes, and in some games it might not look that great. But I think that dude competes. I think he plays hard. And right now, our starting point guard is not playing hard or competing in my eyes.
So we'll move on in a minute from Michigan State. But the whole dialogue leading into this game, we talked about it yesterday, was AJ Hoggard's a big game guy. We've seen that throughout his career. I pushed back on that hard. I said, if you look at the numbers, I don't think he is a big game guy. I think he's a random game guy. I think he picks and chooses when he wants to show up. It has nothing to do with big games. It's something within his head that we'll never understand. Tonight, he was 1 for 8 from the floor. He did have 8 assists, which, again, we've seen in what I would call bad AJ Hoggard games. He's still a high assist game guy. To me, I mean, defensive breakdowns were all over the place for AJ tonight, especially the 2 back-breaking threes where he left Caleb Foster in the corner. But the more interesting thing to me, body language PhD card, you and I watched this from the corner. He was really taking a leadership role on with the freshmen in a combative, chirpy way. Mm-hmm. He didn't take that on with any of the vets.
Right.
And I don't think he's holding himself to the things he's yelling at the freshmen for. Did you pick up on that tonight?
I did. And like when I go back to looking at the leaders in basketball, it's not all about just like you take things with a grain of salt if the player who's preaching it and chirping it is not practicing what he's preaching. Like that message doesn't hit the same. And I think those players on the team are seeing the same thing that some other people are seeing. You can't be out there having defensive breakdowns and body language issues and then come and preach about other guys picking it up. It's about everyone holding each other accountable. It's about players themselves holding each other accountable. Like the older guys in this team have played so much basketball, they should be able to hold themselves somewhat accountable. And I don't think they're doing that right now. And in all honesty, like I don't want to pull the whole like previous Michigan State team and previous Michigan State players, but like it is a part of the culture is that there are players that hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
And in the last couple years, I don't think that we have necessarily had those players. And I think that kind of reflects the record of what it has been.
Couple more rapid fire things from me. Quick answers.
I'm not having a good time. That's what you're asking.
Quick answers from you.
Okay.
What letter grade was this for Duke tonight? Was this their B game?
I was going to say a B. Yeah, I thought they were good. I didn't think they were great. I thought Caleb Foster making shots was a big development for them. They're going to need one of those 2 guards, consistently him and McCain, to shoot it. Filipowski was good. I thought the biggest notable thing was that Ryan Young looked really good tonight. And I guess maybe this is overreacting to playing against, let's just call it how it is, bad bigs, right? Like Montessogo's not a good big right now. Arizona's bigs are good bigs. Ryan Young looked pretty bad against Arizona's bigs. But I think Duke's going to need to be able to have a traditional center minutes from Ryan Young. He delivered some today.
You looked at me halfway through the game and said, "What's Michigan State look like if Ryan Young's their center?"
I also do that with a majority of probably the top 250 Ken Pop teams.
I had this conversation with Doster during the game. Because when Ryan Young checked in the game, he's like, Ryan Young can't play in this game. He was so bad against Arizona. I said, Ryan Young's like way better than Sissoko, right? Like Ryan Young, like people hate Ryan Young because he like can't jump over a textbook.
I mean, we saw when he was at Northwestern.
Right. He was a perfectly capable Big Ten starting center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is what Michigan State could really use for him.
Yeah, he had a really nice catch off. I forget who passed in the ball. But he had a nice catch in traffic for finish.
Yeah, Filipowski had some pretty nice passes out of double teams to him, I thought.
He did. It was pretty good. I was impressed with Flip tonight, even though he didn't shoot well. I think Flip is obvious alpha on this team, first team All-American. The guy who's not would be Tyrese Proctor. You want to describe Tyrese Proctor for us quickly? You and I have been out on him all summer. I didn't see it tonight.
Yeah, I just think a lot of what is to come with Tyrese Proctor is a gear that he hasn't necessarily hit yet. Like I think Randolph Childress actually put it pretty simply, but also well put, is that he just seems to kind of float out there sometimes, and he just doesn't seem as aggressive as he should be as a 6'5" guard who has length and is strong. I think that he should be able to make himself more prominent in games. And up until this point, I just don't think he has done that. Like, in every game that they played so far this season, granted it's early, I just think other guards have made themselves more prominent or taken over a little bit more.
So I will defend Tyrese Proctor on one thing, right? Like, I didn't think he played great today. I think he earned some of the criticism after Arizona. I also think that he started this game slow, and you could see his confidence shaking a little bit. And he played 38 minutes tonight, regardless. And he battled, and he grinded his way to 13, 6, and 6. And he also had a moment in right around the U8 where Michigan State was pushing. I think it was either 3 or 5 was the lead for Duke. And both Flip was off the floor, and I think Roach was off the floor too. And he just had like a nice drive and dish, got him a bucket. He doesn't for Duke to be, they're the overwhelming number 1 team in the country. Yes, Tyrese Proctor has to be All-American. But Tyrese Proctor being a good point guard gets Duke pretty darn far this year, right?
Yep.
They've got pieces around him. He doesn't have to do everything.
Right.
And I thought tonight was a good example where he was good enough to get them to a victory and allowed other guys to step up and make plays. And tonight that was Caleb Foster.
Yeah, it was a really productive night if we're going to criticize him, right? 13, 6, and 6, 39 minutes. They ran the offense through him as much as Flip had mismatches. Like, the ball was in Proctor's hands more often than not. I'm ready to wave the flag that he's the 3rd, maybe 4th best guard on this Duke team. I looked at you at one point and was like, what's the furthest we can go that's not stretching it right now?
I mean, but it's also like it speaks to how good Duke's guards
are.
They
got guards,
like being the 4th best guard on Duke
Yeah.
is actually not that bad. Like, on most nights, Jeremy Roach or Jared McCain, or honestly, Caleb Foster was the 4th best guard against Arizona. And then you see what he did. I mean,
McCain no-showed tonight. It was crazy. And also, last thing for me, Mitchell is Cohen Carr if he had wet sand in his shoes. That was my team.
Cohen Carr, but Mark Mitchell is 6'10", 6'9".
Okay. What's Cohen Carr? Like 6'5"?
6'5".
He looks 6'10".
I think Mark Mitchell kind of knows how to play. I don't think Cohen Carr knows how to play yet.
True.
But Cohen Carr's athleticism allows him to not know how to play and still make plays.
Cohen Carr also not knowing how to play is like the 3rd best offensive player on this Michigan State team. It's terrifying stuff right now in East Lansing. Okay, final, just assign a number to it. 1 to 10. How concerned are you? 1-word answer.
With Michigan State?
Yeah. Last time you told me not concerned. That's what you said. It was 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. What is it tonight on a scale of 1 to 10?
7.
Okay, we're getting there. We're moving up. Let's move to game 2. Also, our DoorDash just arrived, so I'm about to go grab that. We have a deep dish pizza.
Set us up and go get us some
pizza.
pizza.
We have a deep dish pizza waiting.